So this is early winter on the farm. This is towards the end of December, and everywhere you look you have a dead, desolate or withered look. While all the fruit trees are shedding the leaves, all the farm animals are putting on an extra layer of fur. Our angoras are more fluffier, so is low blue, our sheep, as is Beswa, our farm dog, and perhaps also Kobli, our cat. The fish, meanwhile, are going to go deep into hibernation, settling at the bottom of the ponds. So the temperatures outside are now freezing. You can see I have to wear a cap, I have to wear a very thick jacket to keep myself warm. All of us on the farm, the trees, the animals, humans, everybody is prepared for the winters. All of us are waiting for the snow. Beswa over here has now put on her winter coat. She's a lot more fluffier and she is eagerly waiting the snow because she loves the snow. Like we keep insisting, nobody loves snow like Beswa over here. Beswa is a snow dog. She was perhaps a husky in a previous life, and when it snows she likes to be outside in the snow. It's very difficult to get her inside, and nobody is awaiting the snow as much as perhaps Beswa over here. Isn't that right? Come on. Come on, out you go. The angoras, as you can see, they are more fluffier because they have the winter wool on. And we'll have to come in and start combing the wool because it gets entangled, it gets matted, and that can lead to a lot of infestation. Angoras are ready for the winters, but there is no snow. What we also need to do every morning once we open up the angoras is check on the mother angora if she has given birth to the babies, because they tend to give birth to babies unannounced. One day they'll be feeding, jumping around, and the next day they would have birthed these naked, blind kids of theirs, babies of theirs, and they're extremely vulnerable. And we had a tragedy on the farm which I'm going to discuss in perhaps a separate video, where we lost 5 angora babies almost overnight. Look at them. Their playground is barren as well, not a blade of grass anywhere. They have to be fed from the kitchen. Whatever scraps we can get from the kitchen, we feed them. But on the ground there isn't anything, and it's going to get drier perhaps, and we all are waiting for the snow. Hello, 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 no, no, no. Now we are approaching Low Blue's pen, and Low Blue is ravenous as ever, especially in winters. There isn't any grass for him to mow on, so we have to feed him. We have to get the grass from somewhere. We also feed him apple prunings because that is something that he loves. Now the first thing Low Blue thinks of after he's out of his pen is to feed himself. He's ravenous as ever. Look at the wool on him, all winter ready. Now this is of course where we keep the duckies at night, and the cold does not seem to affect them at all. They are very hardy, except that they seem to be a little foolish in terms of how to deal with predators. We had 33 last year and we are left with only 13. All of them, or rather most of them, were taken down by the predators. Over here in our case, they were the stray dogs. Come on, duckies, out, off you go. Oh, look at that, look at that, look at that. Look at this duck, look at this duck. This is a very unusual behavior that you see of a duck attacking another duck. This usually happens between roosters, but over here I think maybe because of mating competition, whatever it is, this particular duck is at the receiving end of one particular duck who is having a go at it whenever it finds an opportunity. Now that is really sad because the duck is isolated now and it does not know where to go. It can't go into the pond because that particular duck is bullying him. And I'm a little worried because usually what happens is the ducks, they can drown each other once they start pecking on each other, or rather they gang up on one duck and they peck them inside the water, then they can drown the duck. And we've had this incident with one of our ducks, which I have documented in one of my videos, where it was drowned by one of the ducks because they were trying to sit on it, or maybe generally peck it and bully it, dominate it, leading to this young duckling that we had hatched from an egg. Lovingly, with patience, care, it was drowned over here in this pond because of this kind of a very unusual behavior that we are seeing in the ducks. I am seeing this now with at least a couple of ducks over here who are dominating, who are pecking at the other ducks, and that is not good for the rest of the ducks. So while all the ducks over here swimming nicely, enjoying the pond, this poor duck has been isolated because one of them over here, I think it's this duck over here sitting on the rim, is not allowing this duck get into the pond, or get rather closer to any of the female ducks. I think it's a mating behavior. And usually ducks are very placid creatures. They are very docile. They don't really fight with each other. But this behavior, look at him. He's having a go at him. He doesn't want, look at him, look at him, look at him. Look at him have a go at him. And this poor guy, he's not even fighting back. He is keeping his distance from this very aggressive duck who is constantly chasing him out of the pond, chasing him out wherever he gets an opportunity. So this is a very sad thing for the duck, because ducks are social creatures. They need to be together, and this one is completely isolated. Now I'm walking through my raspberry and the blackberry beds. These are the blackberry canes, all withered up now, also going dormant. And we have the raspberries over here on the top terrace. Raspberries, by the way, were the last of the berries, last of anything that we harvested on the farm. I think it was towards the middle of December when we perhaps harvested last of our raspberries. So raspberries are the berries that remain on the farm for picking for almost about 6 months. Now they're going dormant, all of them, the blackberries over here and the raspberries over here. I still have one raspberry that I can see, and this perhaps I can harvest in a couple of days if the frost does not kill it first. This one I can pick. It's still ripe, I guess. Not as ripe, but still edible, still very sweet. I'm back at the pond because I heard a commotion, and I see that the duck who was being bullied somehow got into the pond, and it is now being harassed by that particular aggressive duck. I see that there are two ducks now which are attacking it. One was the, oh no, I think it is the other duck is saving the victim, if I can see this clearly. Yes, one duck is going for the neck of the victim, and the other one is trying to save it. It's pecking the attacker. The other duck is pecking the attacker. Now this is so very unusual. First thing, that the ducks are not this aggressive, first of all. And then we have a scenario where this other duck is coming out to save this little victim. Wow, this is something very unusual. I've not seen this before. Perhaps there's some duck psychologist who can explain this. And this is dangerous over here. Now what is happening is the duck is being pushed, its neck is being pushed underwater, and this is the way the ducks drown. Now if it does not make for the shore, if it does not come out of the pond, it is a very dangerous scenario for it. Thank God it's out now, and the duck, the aggressive duck, is back into the pond. And this was a very unsightly, and this is a very unusual sort of a scenario which we saw. Over here we have the propagation of the blackberries in progress. This pot over here, if you can see, it's got a cane impaled in this pot. This is a tip layering method of propagating the blackberry. I think we buried the tip over here in this pot. I think it was the month of August, or if not September. So this tip over here that we have buried in this pot is going to sprout all the roots, and it's going to make an independent blackberry plant. We just need to come in here maybe in the month of February or March when it's spring, snap its ties from the parent plant, and this will become an independent blackberry cane. So this is a tip layering method for the blackberries. But as far as the raspberries are concerned, raspberries, they propagate through runners, and it's a lot simpler. We just need to dig out the runners and we have independent raspberry plants. Then right next to the bungalow, rather in front of the bungalow, we have these willows, and their leaves are falling day by day, and one day there'll be no leaves on them at all, and they would have gone absolutely dormant. Now, as far as the fruit trees are concerned, all fruit trees over here on the farm now are going dormant. They are shedding the leaves. This is a plum tree, and the one over here is an apricot tree, and the one over here behind is the plum tree again, and then we have an apricot over here. So all of this is interspersed. We don't have a monoculture of any trees over here, or a block of apricots or a block of plums together. All of them are interspersed. You have an apricot tree over here, then you have its neighbor, a different species of trees. In this case, we have the plum. So the idea here is to prevent the spread of disease, because we are socially distancing all these trees, most of whom do not share their pathogens. Now, while all trees have shed their leaves and they're preparing for winters, the peach tree is unique in the sense, at least the peaches that we have on the farm, and this is a local peach, by the way, and we harvested a lot from it. It's a very cold hardy as well as a very frost hardy, and also I can say, because this time we also had hail, they're also hail hardy. They are somehow immune to the hail, because we had a lot of hail on the apricots, on the peaches. The apricots were destroyed this year completely, while the peaches had no scar on them whatsoever. Over here in winter, we see this unusual behavior. They are not dropping the leaves. They have dropped some, but they have yet to shed these leaves, and I've seen that in snow they still have the leaves on. Now, so this is a very unusual behavior for a tree in a high altitude farm like ours. We are at 8,000 feet. It's very high up in the Himalayas, and these fruit trees, they shed their leaves as a defense mechanism against the cold. The shedding of the leaves is a defense mechanism against the snow, the frost, whatever is going to come in the next couple of weeks, next couple of months. They defend themselves by shedding the leaves, going to sleep, becoming dormant. So the peaches, as you can see, this is a peach tree. They are reluctant to shed their leaves. So the only flowers that we have now towards the end of December are the geraniums, some marigolds. These are the marigolds, and they are also going to wither and die. But geraniums are the perennial flowers that we have on the farm, as well as the calendulas. Calendulas, geraniums, these are the only two flowers that can really flower, that you can see flowering on the farm. That's why we like to propagate them, because when we have these flowers, there will be something for the bees, there will be something for the native beneficials that feed on the nectar of flowers, and obviously they lend a nice color to our cottages. And we have some going over here along with the calendulas. This is a calendula flower, geranium next to it, and wherever you see any flower that you see are going to be the geraniums, or they're going to be the calendulas. Very cold hardy. The geraniums are very cold hardy, as well as the calendulas. Everywhere calendulas surprisingly are going to be blooming even when it snows. You will have a situation where the snow falls on top of the calendulas and the calendulas are blooming. And this over here is a withered cosmos flower, and what we have been doing in the past couple of weeks, days, is we are doing seed saving. We are saving the seeds of all the flowers that have withered, and these include the cosmos, it includes the marigolds, includes also the nasturtiums. All these three flowers we are going to be propagating a lot next year on, so we need the seeds of all these flowers. Over here we have the nursery with a lot of plants. We have succulents over here. We have the raspberries, and the raspberries, as you can see, they're going dormant and they are in pots over here because next year onwards they are going to be planted out in the fields. And we also have the strawberries, and the strawberries are also going dormant. One or two of them, as I can see over here, are also putting out the fruits. These are not the ever bearing strawberries, so the fruiting, most of the fruiting is going to be in the month of June or maybe May, but this is the time when they go dormant. Some over here, like I said, very few are also flowering and also fruiting, but they're going to be very few. These are not the ever bearing strawberries. Now this is mostly what we do towards the end of December when we get a lot of pruning from a commercial farm, a commercial apple orchard. We get a lot of apple prunings. Now these apple prunings are put through this shredder over here behind me, and we make apple pruning chips out of them, and then finally we make compost out of it using the hot composting method. You can see over here in that village very far away behind me, all of this is smoke because people are burning their apple prunings. Now they're burned because the apple prunings have a lot of pathogens in them, and the easiest way to get rid of them is of course to burn them. But there is another method, and we had a little demonstration over here. A lot of very eager young participants, farmers came over here, and we built this pile together virtually, demonstrated to them how we can make compost out of these apple prunings through the hot composting method, of which, by the way, I have several videos on YouTube. All the pathogens are killed because the temperature over here is more than 65 degrees Celsius for a sustained period of time. We built this pile only 2-3 days ago, and the temperature already over here in this pile is above 70 degrees Celsius. Regardless of what the temperature is outside, the temperature of the pile remains what it is. Yesterday, I checked the temperature, it was almost 77 degrees Celsius. So this is the kind of heat that we want in a hot compost pile, because we are using a lot of these apple prunings which have a lot of pathogens in them, a lot of Marcinona, Alternaria, all these kinds of infections, funguses that we were infected with this year are going to be in these twigs. So they need to be sanitized. This is the reason why all the farmers, they burn their apple prunings, because it's the simplest solution. But over here, as we demonstrated, you can also use them to make compost. And this compost, because it is sanitized, because it has gone through this temperature that we give it, all these pathogens are not going to survive. No pathogens can survive temperatures of 55 degrees Celsius and above for a sustained period of time. This temperature is going to be maintained for at least one month or 1.5 months, and this is what is going to sanitize the apple prunings that we are using. Now, does anybody recognize this huge plant behind me? Look at these bell-like flowers, pink bell-like flowers over here. They're blooming right now. While everything else on the farm is withering, shedding the leaves, shedding the petals, going into dormancy, this particular plant, you can see, is blooming. This plant over here is the tobacco plant. It's much taller than me. It's about 11 feet perhaps, and it is spread all over. It is growing indoors. We did not plant it. It seeded itself. Perhaps I had some seeds maybe a couple of years ago. One of the seeds fell over here, and it has sprouted into this very big, magnificent plant, and we have let it grow. It provides all these beautiful flowers for all the native bees that we have. It's a nice feature to have. It adds diversity on the farm. And it's also marvelous to see some plants taking root without us coming and paying attention to it. We don't water it. And what I really find a little surprising is that it's undercover. I do not know where it's getting all the water and all the nutrients from, because it's under the shed and it's getting all that it requires to grow into this marvelous flowering plant that it is. Now, what you can actively grow in winters in our kind of altitude at 8,000 feet is the garlic. And we sowed the garlic over here in this field and the one above and one below in the month of, I think it was September. The snow and the frost is going to have no effect on these plants whatsoever. Rather, the cold is going to be helping in the growth, in the better development of the bulbs of the garlic, because there's a process called vernalization in which these plants, including apples, peaches, pears, as well as the garlic, they benefit from the freeze that the winter brings. Now, the other plant apart from the garlic that we actively grow and we try to propagate is the mustard in winters. Now, the mustard, because it hasn't rained, I think in the last, what, maybe 2 months, we have scattered the seeds over here in the field, but some of them have sprouted. Some of them are waiting for the moisture that the snow is going to bring. And lastly, the kale also does wonderfully in the cold. So everything on the farm, not just Beswa, our dog, who is snow crazy, everything on the farm is waiting for the snow, including our trees which are going into dormancy. Like, for example, this cherry tree. All of them need to complete the chilling hours. All these trees have their requisite chilling hours they need to complete for them to flower better and fruit better. So everything on the farm, the plants, the shrubs, like the sea buckthorn over here behind me, the animals, the angoras, our dogs, the cats, the chicken, the sheep, everybody is waiting for the snow. No rains, no snow means clear skies, and we get very clear skies in the night. And this is a blessing in disguise for all stargazers, because every evening we take out our telescopes and we have these splendid nights where we do a lot of stargazing. These days in the sky, you can see the Orion constellation very clearly. You can see the Orion Nebula inside the Orion constellation. You can see the Andromeda galaxy, which is 2.5 million light years away, the furthest that you can see from Earth. And then, of course, you have star clusters. You have interesting stars like Betelgeuse. You have the Aldebaran in the constellation of Taurus. You also have very bright stars like Sirius coming little later in the night. All of this is a blessing because it hasn't rained, because we have a starlit sky, we have a very clear sky. Today there seems to be some clouds in the sky, but they tend to clear out towards the night, and the nights are absolutely clear, and we are as if under a billion stars. But what we really want now is snow.